as we get into now topic one here of the conversation, that being the Alabama offensive line. And according to former Auburn University offensive lineman, according to former Auburn center Cole Kubelik, who played for the Tigers from 1996 to 2001, he is now with ESPN, and he's also 1/3 of the radio show Three Man Front, which is on WJOX Jocks 94.5 in Birmingham. But Cole Kubelik put up a graphic this week about how he has his top 5 offensive lines in the country, and at number 1, he's got Alabama. Of course, 2, he had Ohio State. 3, he had Notre Dame. 4, he had Tennessee. And at number 5, he had Oklahoma. But at number 1, he had the Alabama Crimson Tide, and much is to be expected from this offensive line in this upcoming season. But when you talk with Alabama football fans, defensively first and foremost, and you discuss, which defense made you watch it, which defense had you on the edge of your seat, which defense put you in the frame of mind of, if I miss something, I'm going to be kicking myself, I'm going to be hurting myself, I'm going to be mad at myself, I will not forgive myself because I feel like I'm missing history, I'm missing legendary stuff, I'm missing big time production. And as good as those defenses in the 60s and 70s were under Paul Bryant, as good as the 1992 defense was under Gene Stallings, but 2009 defense was great, 2011 was fantastic, 2015, 2017, all of those defenses were strong units. But for Alabama fans, they look at that 2016, y'all look at that 2016 defense as, that was the defense that moved me. That was the defense that enticed me. That was the defense that excited me. I mean, if I turn my head one time to look away from that group, I'm missing a pick six. I'm missing a scoop and score for a touchdown off a fumble recovery. I'm missing a Super Bowl sack. I would miss those things that made me go, man, darn, why did I miss that? So 2016 defense was the group for Alabama in terms of the fans on that side of the football. So when you look at, offensively, and in particular the front line, which group made you feel that way in terms of enforcing the will, imposing your will on an opposing defense, blasting huge holes in the run game, and also doing very well in pass protection? That 2012 group comes to mind. That 2012 offensive line, that from left to right, we're talking about Cyrus Kouandjio, left tackle, Chance Warmack, left guard, Barrett Jones, center, Anthony Steen, right guard, and DJ Fluker, right tackle. That group was the most fearsome, nasty, dominant, break-your-will group of the Nick Saban era. And this was a group that from left to right, we're looking at 2 5-stars in Kouandjio and DJ Fluker. You had 1 4-star in Barrett Jones. You had a couple of 3-stars in Chance Warmack and Anthony Steen. But this group from left to right here, we're talking about a combined weight of 1,603 pounds. That's a lot of beef. 1,603 pounds, an average of 320.6 pounds. And, this group was a unit that 4 of the 5 guys were All-Americans, or at one point in time became All-Americans. The only guy that did not achieve that status was Anthony Steen, and all 5 of those guys ended up making an NFL roster. Now, this group was the lone group of the Saban era to boast 2 1,000-yard backs, Eddie Lacy and TJ Yeldon. Also on top of that, this group boasted a 1,000-yard receiver and Amari Cooper, 59 catches, 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, and also a playmaker at the quarterback position, and A.J. McCarron, 30 touchdowns, 3 picks. So a lot of people look at that 2012 offensive line. That's the group that set the tone. That's the group that holds the mantle. That's the group everybody holds in high esteem. But this 2020 group has a lot of potential. This 2020 group has a lot of opportunity here, has a lot of ability. And anything less then the Joe Moore Award would be a giant disappointment for this group, just due to, when you look at this 2020 group here, 60% of its returning starters are all former 5-stars. Think about that. Evan Neal, a former 5-star. Landon Dickerson, a former 5-star. Alex Leatherwood, a former 5-star. And then 80% of his offensive line, they've all played together. They all have that connection, that chemistry, that continuity, that cohesiveness, all of those positive words that start with the letter C. This offensive line has that. And the guys I'm referring to, Alex Leatherwood, Evan Neal, Landon Dickerson, and Deontay Cornbread Brown, they have all played together. And when you discuss this group here, starting off with Landon Dickerson, the only thing people may have a problem with him on is there are times when he does some extracurricular things after the whistle's blown. Now, people love the tenacity. People love the physicality. People love the toughness. People love the dominant mindset that he has, in which Dickerson takes on the notion of, I'm not going to let you outwork me. I'm not going to let you beat me. I'm not going to let you run me over. So Dickerson has that nastiness, working the first level with, defensive linemen and working up to the next level, taking on linebackers. People like the physicality that Dickerson plays with. It's just, there are moments where after the whistle, he kind of gets into some extracurricular things. A little pushing here, a little shoving here, a little roughing up folks here, and fans are going, well, Landon, we love the passion, we love the intensity, we love the nastiness, we love the physicality, but can you just pipe down a little bit on the extracurriculars after the whistle? If you can do that, then young men love what you do. So that's the only issue there with Dickerson. People give much praise to Deontay Brown in terms of his run blocking, and rightfully so. When this young man came back from being suspended this past season, the run game picked all the way up for the Crimson Tide, with Najee Harris being the primary back. But he's also a very underrated pass blocker. Deontay Brown will get his hands on you and drive you off the ball in terms of pass protection. And then you've got a guy in Evan Neal, of which, played guard this past season, had to get his feet wet a little bit, but had a strong year. Freshman All-American, according to USA Today, according to the Football Writers Association of America, also ESPN. He was also freshman All-SEC by the league's coaching staff. Did a phenomenal job as a freshman. And then you have a guy in Alex Leatherwood that only gave up 2 sacks last year against LSU. He will look to get better this season. So you've got guys, those 4 guys that have the continuity with each other. The big question here, for Alabama is who is going to play right tackle, filling in for Jedrick Wills, who is now in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns. This is a great problem for Nick Saban and Kyle Flood, the offensive line coach, to have, because you've got a lot of depth, you've got a lot of experience, you've got a lot of talent here on this front line. And though I have wrecked my brain trying to put together different scenarios of how this offensive line would look, I've touched on potentially moving Dickerson from center to right tackle and having Darian Dalcourt play center, or maybe Emil Ekiyor Jr. play center. But I've also looked at, keeping Dickerson at center and taking Evan Neal and moving him over to right tackle to give you 2 bookend tackles, in other words, a Neal, and have either a Dalcourt, Ekiyor, maybe even a Pierce Quick play in that left guard spot. And the reason why I thought of the second one more so than the first one is, as good as that 2012 offensive line was, it was fantastic. One thing that group will not have on this group, especially if Coach Saban chooses to take Evan Neal and move him to right tackle, is this group would have 2 legitimate 6'6" and taller offensive tackles. And what makes this intriguing, Saban has always wanted his outside guys on the line to have big size, long arms, big hands, long fingernails, huge wingspan, to be able to shield and neutralize speedy edge rushers away from the quarterback, but also plow open those gaping holes in the run game. And this would be the possibility or the big chance for Alabama to have two legitimate now 6'6" and taller offensive linemen. If you remember, Alex Leatherwood and Evan Neal kind of share the same story. Leatherwood came in 2017 wanting to play offensive tackle. That spot was already preoccupied, but he got the opportunity in the national championship game against Georgia when Jonah Williams went down. Leatherwood came in there, fielded and admirably, played very, very well in that matchup. And in 2018, he moved inside to be an offensive guard, getting his feet wet a bit more on the offensive line, started the whole 2018 season as a guard. And then this past year, as Jonah Williams was off to the NFL, Leatherwood kicks out to left tackle, has a strong year. Evan Neal, kind of the same story. He comes in from Florida as a 5-star, as a big offensive tackle. Comes in, already sees that spot preoccupied. Bama puts him in at that guard position. And it took a minute for Kyle Flood to actually trust Evan Neal right there. I mean, I remember the first game of the season against Duke inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. The thought was, come on, Coach Flood, the guy's a man-child. He's 6'7", 360 pounds of dominance. Put him out there, get him on the field. Let's see what he can do. But as always, just like you have to ease players in to certain situations, you have to ease coaches in to certain situations because, let's be honest, Nick Saban, not the easiest guy to work with from time to time, so you have to ease the coaches in as well. But once, Kyle Flood got the gist of, look, Evan Neal's the real deal, and he was able to put him out there, and the young man was able to have big-time success here for the Crimson Tide. And then you look at, David Ballou on the sports performance team. I mean, I go back to 2017 when he was at Notre Dame, and despite having a guy in Brandon Wimbush, not the best quarterback, great athlete, not the best quarterback, but Dave Ballou took that offensive line in Notre Dame, pushed it to winning the Joe Moore Award. That team went 10-3 that season, including a win over LSU in the Citrus Bowl. It produced a 1,400-yard back in Josh Adams, and that group was able to have two offensive linemen in Quentin Nelson and Mike McGlinchey, both go in the top 10 of the 2018 NFL Draft. Quentin Nelson, number 6 overall, Mike McGlinchey at number 9. So if Ballou was able to do this with 2- and 3-star guys, a 4-star guy every now and again, then just imagine what he's going to be able to do with this offensive line for the Crimson Tide. But folks, that takes us here to our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. We're just getting your chest warm here on a Wednesday. Upon our return, we unpack your phone calls, your texts, your thoughts, your tweets, your questions, your concerns. It's time to talk Alabama football with yours truly. And let's get it in right after this.
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care. In support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $5.95 per month or pay $49.95 for a full year subscription. That's a saving of almost $22. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
Thank you for watching Touchdown Alabama Magazine's YouTube channel. To continue to get the best in Alabama football content, subscribe here and turn on your notifications to stay connected with the hottest shows covering your Crimson Tide.